Today's episode of Morning Coffee with Cameron was made possible by SoundGym. SoundGym is an ear training application designed specifically for music producers to help you identify differences in things like EQ, stereo positioning, compression, and basically every other aspect of production. SoundGym offers a very unique ear training program that's not only fun by gamifying the process of ear training, but incredibly practical and useful for producers of all skill levels. If you want to get started training your ears and improving your sound, you can use the link down in the description and help support the channel in the process. Howdy doody, buckaroonies. If there's one thing I love more than reverb, it's granular synthesis. Granular synths and granular effects are absolutely my cup of tea. Not only are they great for amazing soundscapes and textures, they're just a ton of fun for sound design and absolutely annihilating sounds. When I left home to go to music production school, which was terrible by the way, thank you for asking, I had a class on MIDI and synthesizers. And because of everything I learned in that class, I was absolutely determined to go out and figure out how the a synthesizer works, because up to that point, I had no experience with one. Using my student discount, I saved up some pennies and went out and bought Native Instruments FM8, which in hindsight was the worst possible choice for a first synthesizer, given how insanely complex FM synthesis is. But I was determined to figure it out, and I had so much fun exploring it. Eventually, I went and showed my roommate what I was working on, and he used Cubase, and he mentioned that Cubase had this synth he really liked called Pad Shop. He showed me how you could take the sound of just a guitar, put it in there, and suddenly create this enormous wash of sound. So I asked him to show me how to do that in FM8, and he said, "I have no f***ing idea." Determined to solve the mystery, I asked my teacher to show me how to use a guitar in FM8, and he explained that FM8 couldn't do that. FM8 wasn't a granular synth. Suddenly, a whole world of information had dawned on me. There was more to life than just FM8, and there was a whole world of sound out there I hadn't even begun to explore. Granular synthesis is interesting because it's one of the only forms of synthesis that can also be applied to other sounds in real time. Granular stuff works by playing with the fundamental concept of time. We have a granular engine that has a buffer, and the buffer holds sound. In a granular synthesizer, this is just a static sample that you would select. But some granular engines work in real time by using the same concept as a delay. A sound is sent in with a certain duration and repeated back. The amount of repeats is controlled by the amount of feedback going into the buffer. Where granular synthesis and delay differ, though, is how they apply the idea of time. In delay, time is like a river. It flows one way and cycles back. It's sort of like a lazy river of audio. Granular synthesis, on the other hand, is like an ocean. There's constant, erratic movement creating enormous soundscapes or glistening textures by manipulating time or even adding multiple playback cycles to a single buffer. Here I've got the free Emergence plugin. This is a granular delay effect that can be applied to any sound. To demo it, we're just going to run a simple synth pluck sequence. Using the feedback, we can use Emergence a lot like a regular delay. The sound gets recorded in, and with some feedback, it repeats back. Granular synths get interesting by slicing this audio into little tiny pieces called grains. If we play a drum loop in a granular synth and just set the grain size to the smallest amount possible without any movement, you'll hear it sounds like a drum loop, just grainier. Where this gets interesting is the fact that these grains can have a lot of different properties. We can control the size of the grains, the direction of the grains, and even the pitch of the grains. What makes this so cool is all of these properties are happening on a per grain basis. Normally, a delay will have a single playhead that goes through the buffer. But granular effects can have many slices of audio streaming off this same playhead in different directions and at different speeds and stereo positions and pitches. Even with just a single grain stream, we can create a really lush wall of sound. When we add in more playheads or change the density of the grains or other parameters, we can get even richer sounds from just this simple input. From here, we can also start to play with the buffer playback heads by moving the playheads to random positions. This is, in a way, like scratching a record, but without the pitch whipping effect, because each grain is part of its own playhead. Emergence is a ton of fun to apply to any sound, but if you want to explore the world of granular synthesis for free, there's a plugin called Oi Grandad, which has 4 granular engines that you can put whatever you want in, and it even comes with a library of presets to get you started. This synthesizer is pretty deep and well beyond the scope of what I can explain in this video, but if there's interest, maybe we'll take a deeper dive into how this synth works and why in a future video. Emergence and Oi Grandad are probably 2 of the best free granular tools that cover both ends of the spectrum, but there are some other free granular plugins out there that are worth knowing about. Other free granular tools like Argo Lunar, Grain Strain, G-Grain, Lagrange, or the variety of granular modules available in VCV-Rack all offer different takes and flavors of what granular synthesis can do. Of course, on the commercial end, there are a variety of granular tools available, and I think some of my favorites would be the Bleece Granulizer, Arturia's EFX Fragments, and Arturia's Pigments synthesizer with the granular engine. Granular synthesis is so much fun. It is an incredibly useful sound design tool. It's a really great way to add a little bit of special sauce to your loops or sounds, and it's one of those things that is so unique that once you try it, you just get addicted, and there's so much to explore with it depending on how you use it, because there's so many different approaches and ideas in the world of granular synthesis. This stuff is a ton of fun, and I absolutely recommend you get out there and explore it, so please be sure to consider this as your homework assignment for the week. If you've joined my channel community as well with the link down in the description, I also released a small pack of samples and sounds you can throw into a granular synth to experiment with and see what you can create. And of course, if you make something cool, feel free to share it with me. With that, we have reached the end of the video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. And of course, as always, I hope this inspires you to get out there and make something awesome.